Hi, everyone. I'm here with David Wright, who is a personal trainer at Parkway Athletic Club in Carson City, Nevada. Thanks for being here, David.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, and David's getting close to a competition, a physique competition. How many weeks are you out?
Just under 2 weeks. It'll be on October 4th.
Wow, getting close.
Absolutely.
All right, so you're holding it together okay?
So far, so good. Yep.
All right, so we're going to talk about diet and how it affects you long term and some of the choices that people make. Why do they make those choices, and how can we make better choices? And there's some interesting reasons that we've observed talking about some of the videos we've seen and seeing some of the things we see in the club and things that we see in the grocery store. It's pretty interesting to me, and things I see in restaurants. And I'm just trying to, I guess, gather it all in and process it on why people do some of the things they do, especially with the situation that they're in. So we're going to talk about that. If you guys are interested in our weight loss program, you want to check it out, you can use the link in the description, or there's a QR code on the screen. You can use that also. And then like and subscribe. If you're interested in interviews with personal trainers, coaches, doctors, nutritionists. So, we always talk about things that we see in the gym, things that you and I both watch a lot on YouTube, social media influencers and nutritionists and so on. And we don't want to just talk about what people are eating and why, but why are they feeding their kids garbage? And, I'll just start off with, why are you doing this? This is totally unfair to your child. I saw a couple kids in a restaurant and their moms just putting this garbage food in their mouth, fried foods and just junk, and getting them soda after soda. And these kids were fat. I mean, these kids were probably 8 or 9, and they were little tubelards. And I'm like going, really? You don't care about your kid? But I don't know. I don't know the whole situation, but it just seems like these two mothers are very selfish and just, I'm going to feed you and shut you up. And give me an example. First I got to say, some people can't afford to eat perfectly. They can't afford it. It's expensive. They have families and it's hard and they're working hard. So some people can't afford to eat perfectly, but most people that I see can make better choices. So give me the example that you were talking about before we turn this on about the grocery store.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that I've seen a lot of lately, and it's a pretty big story, kind of in the feeding your children and proper nutrition realm right now. There's a video going around, and it's not just this particular person, but it's kind of indicative of where we are as a society, unfortunately. Um, but as an example, this particular story, a mother goes, to some big box stores, actually like 3 or 4 different stores every, I think it's 2 weeks, something like that, spends hundreds of dollars on groceries. I think she has 2 or 3 kids, something like that, plus herself and a parent of hers or something like that. But one of the things that's so shocking and kind of controversial, and rightfully so, is she buys her son frozen, square pizzas. I don't know what brand, whatever. Doesn't really matter. They're all junk, but they're buying these little personal pizzas. She buys 32 of those for her son to eat. So just her son, 32 of them in 2 weeks. That's 16 pizzas a week. So 2 a day, essentially, right? And then that's not all. I mean, she shows her whole, the grocery hauls are a huge thing right now. People like to show what they get at the store and what it costs and, and whatnot, and which is fine. But these particular ones are concerning mainly because of, not only the pizzas, which is really bad, but also, liters of soda. And I don't think I mentioned this before, Steve, but also, I mean, bricks and bricks and bricks and bricks of cheese, chips and curly fries, frozen ones in the bag, and, just all of this stuff, which, I'm sure that the kids enjoy, I guess I would say, because there's so many chemicals, preservatives, and just junk in there that your brain's going to want you to enjoy it, so you want to eat more. But this particular person, defends those decisions by, I'm going to feed my kids what I want to. And you know what? By all means, you can do that. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day, yes, most kids, if they're used to eating junk food and garbage and processed food all the time, they're just going to want that. The thing is, as a parent, I have, kids myself who are grown now, but when they were smaller and lived with me, we didn't eat a lot of junk food. Of course, I'm, a health person, I am a fitness person. Did I eat perfect all the time? Absolutely not. But when we had dinners or we had lunches or even, packed lunches for school, it was probably 10 times healthier than the next kid. So sure, maybe it wasn't as, fun, with some of this other junk food, but, what it taught my kids was you don't always have to have junk food. Even if you want it, there are other alternatives. I mean, we eat things, ratatouille is a great example. Um, it's one of those things that what kid's going to eat eggplant and these other things? My kids loved it. So, those are things where there are other options, not necessarily just that one, but that was just an example where you don't have to buy 32 pizzas. You get your kids introduced to other things. Maybe they're resistant to it in the beginning, but you have to understand the long-term effects of those particular eating, patterns and stuff like that that you're starting now as a parent, because it's up to you. It's up to you as a parent. It's not up to the kid. It's up to you to set those, routines and really get them into tasting whole foods, or at least the best foods that you can get. Because you brought up a really good point, Steve. Some people, they can't afford the best quality foods that are out there, but in general, they can always make much better choices. So rather than $1, you know, TV dinner that's loaded with sodium and frankenfood, we could do something else, maybe make a bigger meal that'll last a couple of days. There's a lot of options, but people generally go for, and we'll talk about this, I'm sure, the convenient part, the part that kids will like it, so they'll just be quiet and eat it and enjoy it and they won't complain. That's what we're going for. So that's kind of the story that I saw, and kind of the comparison to, how I, you know, raised my kids to an extent, and to be a little bit different than that, because as the parent, it's your responsibility to kind of instill in them different ways to eat so that they know when they grow up, and then obviously raise their own kids later, they know what choices they have. If they make different ones, that's fine, but you're doing the best that you can to show them that there are better and healthier choices, and it will help affect their health in a good way in the long term.
You know, I say this a lot. Everybody gets their own teeter totter, and it's a beautiful thing. You put junk on here, it's going to move the teeter totter. You put healthy food on there, it's going to move the teeter totter. And I look at this, and I have a passion. Sometimes I come across kind of as a jerk, I think, because I want people to be healthy. I want them to stop eating garbage and being fat. And I always say, look, some people have a really struggle, and it's not fair. Some people can just look at food and gain weight, but it's still your responsibility. But that's a minority. Most people are fat because they eat too much and they eat the wrong foods. And to say that's all my kid will eat is 32 garbage pizzas, that's your fault. He's addicted to that. That is your fault. And that's not cheap either. You can take your food budget and do way better than that. And some people, they struggle financially and they have to make some tough choices. But all I'm saying is try to make your priorities geared a little more towards health. And here's what I think about a lot. 20 years from now, the way things are going is that what's the life expectancy going to be? 45, 50, 55? The way things are going now. I understand that one of the arguments is that, there's corporations out there and all they care about is money. Yeah, that's true. A lot of them. And so they're just trying to make the cheapest food and sell it for the most and get people addicted to this. I get that. There's people there's corporations that are, you know, shortcutting things, and some of this stuff isn't even food, but it's all about the bottom line. I get that. And it's probably more that's probably more the case than it was when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, nobody was fat. Nobody was fat. I mean, we had maybe one fat kid in our whole class, and he was just a little chubby. He wasn't fat, I mean, he'd be the skinny kid now. And so, parents, and what you're feeding kids and what you're feeding yourself, I just think too much in our culture, we live for the moment. We live for right now. I just want to eat it right now and have that comfort food, that satisfaction right now because I like it. How long does it take to chew something up that's bad for you and swallow it? That satisfaction is so short, and it's not worth ruining your life. And that's why I'm passionate about this, and I get expressive sometimes and I say some abrasive things because I want people to stop that, because I'm in my 60s, almost my mid 60s now, and I feel really good and I work out and my quality of life is outstanding. And so many people in their 40s, your age, their quality of life isn't good. They don't feel good. And they just live for that next donut or that next piece of pie. And I don't know. I want people to stop that and see what it's like on the other side. Come over to the other side, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and I can tell you, Steve, one of the things for me personally is, you know, as people who've been watching this channel for a while know, I mean, I was fat. I was 260 pounds, probably about a 44 to 46-inch waist. I mean, and I'm 6'1". So to have that large of a waist, and that kind of thing, my quality of life at that point was pretty terrible. I mean, you just you kind of wake up one day and go, man, what did I let myself do to me? And um I can tell you from personal experience that even where I'm at now, a couple of weeks out from a competition, for anybody who's done one before would know this. If you haven't, you know you're super low on energy because of course where you're going right now and going to be up on a stage is not a healthy weight to try to maintain. It's not something you're going to be able to stick with, and it's not meant to be. So when you get as lean as like where I'm at right now, um, you know, energy is pretty low. Like even when you work out in the gym, you don't have a lot of energy. So those are two different extremes. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is, when I was 260 pounds and then I lost the weight, started going to the gym, started getting fit, you know, and times when I'm not in kind of a contest prep mode where we're shrinking down and all that good stuff, I feel the best I've ever felt. This year is probably the best I've ever felt, before we started the contest prep, energy, muscle growth, all the different things mentally, mental clarity, so much better. So when you kind of transition from eating all that junk food that just has chemicals upon chemicals in it, you make better choices. You slim down a lot because, as some people know and a lot of people don't, all of that adipose tissue, that you gain, that makes basically that's our fat that we have there. It's hormonally active, so that messes with your brain, messes with all sorts of bodily functions. So you have not only a bunch of extra fat on you and a bunch of extra weight to carry around on those joints, but now you've got, you know, chemical types of things going on with hormones and all sorts of stuff. So that can cause a whole host of other things that would be a whole nother video. So, my point is, when you get to a weight that is healthy, within that healthy range for you, you're going to feel so much better. And for your kids, as an example, like the ones that you mentioned at the restaurant, if they're 8, 9 years old and they're fat, not just a little bit overweight, they're fat. They probably don't remember anything different, but how much better would their quality of life be? How much more energy would they have? That type of thing, you know, if they weren't fat. And I'm not blaming it on the kids, I'm blaming it on the parents.
Yeah.
But, how much better would that be for them, to be able to think better and probably act better, because they're, you know, uh, a lot healthier. And like I said, it doesn't mean you're eating, kale, spinach, and chia seeds, and all the fun things that are on the really healthy side of everything. But you try to make the best choices that you can, and even that's better than what most people are doing. Like you said, it's going to be pretty much everybody in 20 years, or a majority or bigger majority of people are going to be morbidly obese. I mean, that's just the reality of it. If we continue to eat like we do as a society, and we could blame it on companies, but at the end of the day, those people are spending money on the food from those companies. So if you don't want to give those companies the power to feed you frankenfood, don't buy the frankenfood. Buy other stuff. That's where, the consumer, the parent, has that power of the purse, so to speak. So they can make those choices. It's not the companies forcing it down their throat. So personal responsibility is a huge thing. I took it for me, and for my kids, to show them how to eat, eat healthy, do the right things, in that respect as well. So it's really up to the parents. So the more excuses that we make, or, oh, it's just too hard and all these other things, it's just kind of giving us an out, which at the end of the day, your kids will unfortunately suffer from, if they don't change the ways on their own. And it's a lot harder when they're older and don't really have guidance, don't really know about nutrition because they never had any guidance from their parents growing up. So it could lead to health issues, not only in the long term, but in the short term, for them, diabetes and all the other things that can come with being so overweight. And that's just not fair.
Yeah. Obese is 25% body fat. You know what for men, I did some research on this. You know what the average body fat percentage for men in the US is? 28.
Believe that.
25 is obese. Average is 28. And there's a lot of people that are 50% and even higher, which is taking that number up. But I just think, look, I'm not going to pull punches here. People are lazy, and it takes work to be healthy, especially in today's environment. It's hard. It could take years. It's taken you years to get to where you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've literally been lifting weights for 50 years and exercising for 50 years. I'm not exaggerating. And I'm older now, but I'm still fit. And it's just, I think people are lazy and and selfish, and they're living for the moment. They don't care about their family. Their actions tell me that they don't care about their family, their kids, their friends, their spouse. It's your actions that tell me that you're selfish, and they tell me you're lazy. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying try. I would do anything to get one more person or two more people or three more people to try to get into the gym, to do something. And don't be afraid of the gym. Over half the people in the gym are fat too, but at least they're in the gym, right? You can vouch for that, right? Half the people in the gym are fat or more, but they're in the gym. They're trying. I'm just saying try. And it takes a long time, and it takes discipline, and it's hard. It's not easy. I'm just saying, just try it and see what happens, and take the low hanging fruit first and start to feel better. And then you get some momentum, and then you want to do better. And then pretty soon it gets fun. And when it gets fun, it gets easy. So, David, if people want to follow you, see what's going on with your show, all that stuff, how do they follow you on social media, or how do they get in touch with you?
So they can follow me on Instagram at David Wright _fitness. So like I said, that's kind of my personal fitness page, show updates, physique updates, all the different things that are going on. A lot currently going on right now. Also be, show results once the show's done. And kind of what my journey will be from there through next year. And then at Wright Fitness Training, for more of the personal training side of things.
All right, David, thanks for being with us as always.
Thanks, Steve.